Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Seahawks, the podcast for fans like you. I'm your host, Robert Smith, along with my co-host, Adam Stellman, and joining us today is a special guest. We have James Smith, Northeast Tennessee's premier real estate agent and diehard Cowboys fan, who is here to give us his Cowboys wisdom and counter this Seahawks Homer episode, which we're probably going to get. So, guys, let's talk Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize to everybody listening out there because I've got a large polar bear in the back of my car that's whining his head off. So if you hear a high-pitched thing, that's him. We've talked about this upcoming game a couple of times, mainly because I have tickets to this game. The plan was to be in Dallas at Jerry World for this game, and unfortunately, life happens, and I was unable to make it. So instead, I've got my dogs and most of my belongings packed in my car, and I'm moving up to Oregon. So if there's any listeners out there in Burley, Idaho, and you see my silver Toyota 4Runner parked behind this truck stop here, give us a honk, say hi. So Rob, this game, I've been looking forward to this game all year because I thought I was going to go to it. I have stopped looking forward to this game since I think probably week 1 of the season because our week 1 wasn't a great game for the Seahawks, and it's been a pretty up and down year, mostly down, third downs especially, but this is a tough one. I mean, Jerry World's always a tough place to play. The Cowboys are pretty dominant at home over the last 2 seasons, so this is not going to be an easy one for the Hawks. And I'm going to be on the road. I'm hoping I can watch every second of this game, but I got to admit, even if I miss a few spots, I'm probably going to be okay with that because I'm ready for a bloodbath, and I'm ready for a bloodbath.
All right, James.
Yeah, I think my initial thought on it is really, it's a home game for the Cowboys. Biggest thing is it's a must-win for the Seahawks, but you got to hold on to the fact that, well, as Seahawks fans, I guess you guys got to hold on to the fact that Cowboys tend to sometimes lay little eggs here and there like they did against the Cardinals. So you do have that going for you. Sometimes we do play down to the competition. So it's like, I don't know, but no, everything in my gut's telling me that it's going to be a blowout, but you never know. You just never know what you're going to get.
Any given Sunday, right?
The year. So
yeah, 100%. Listen, the Cowboys are crazy good at home. And I know James and I were talking on the phone, and he was like, hey, if this game was in Seattle, then maybe there's a chance. We'll see. It will be a very difficult task. But I will say the regular season matchups against the Cowboys recently have gone the Seahawks' way. Overall, the Cowboys have the edge with 11-10 all-time regular season matchup. But the Seahawks have won the last 4 regular season matchups, and I'd be 5 out of the last 6. So, I mean, maybe statistics will favor the Seahawks, or does that just say the Seahawks are due to give one back to the Cowboys?
Yeah. Let's hope not that one.
All right. So going into news, we like to bring up news items from the league, team, times, just to see if anything stood out to us. Yes, we're a Seahawks podcast, so we cherry pick the ones we want. But there was a little breaking news. And this breaking news happened this morning. We're recording this on Thursday morning. Part of that is due to the Cowboys because they don't want to release their injury report in a timely fashion. And part of that is just due to life. So here on Thursday morning, we get some breaking news. And that news was that Bills outside linebacker Von Miller had an arrest warrant issued for him for domestic violence. Adam, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, nothing against Von Miller. I don't know enough about the guy to know if this is a pattern with him. I'd have to look it up. But this is pretty old news for the NFL, right? I mean, it's pretty much every week, or well, maybe not every week, but several times a season that we hear that some NFL player has assaulted their current or ex life partner, and an arrest warrant's been issued. The league, and this tends to be how most things go. When it first becomes big news, you go and you push hard against it and say, oh, this is something we're gonna push back on, and we're gonna be really strict about. And that lasted about half a season, ruining Ray Rice's career, which I mean, deservedly so. That was a pretty heinous video we saw, and I mean, even though I think him and his wife are still together, I don't think he played after that. And then there were a couple of other incidences, but for the most part, that was it. Ray Rice got basically kicked out of the league, and then the league was like, all right, cool, that's done. Now we just can go back to business as usual. And it's been that way. It was, I think, when the Ray Rice thing happened, they said it's going to be an automatic, any domestic violence thing, automatic 2-game suspension, and then they're up for review. And again, that lasted about half a season, because since then we've seen several domestic violence calls, and a lot of guys have just continued to play. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know Von Miller personally. I don't know if this is a pattern with him, but I just don't get the mentality. Again, I'm not an athlete. I think of myself as in shape, but I'm definitely not an athlete. I don't have that testosterone coursing through my veins week in and week out, especially during a season. So I don't know how that affects someone's mind. And certainly we know these guys take hits, and we know that affects their brains. But yeah, this is something the league needs to get back to being on top of, because it's like I said, it's every season. We hear about this, and it's just a pattern, and it's disgusting.
Yeah. James, do you have any takes on this?
Yeah, all I can say is I know with Deshaun Watson, that whole case, I mean, 20-something allegations against him, and and then he gets paid millions of dollars to come play for a team, and he looks like a bum out on the field right now. That's just my opinion. It didn't look great. And then you got like Tyreek Hill, I mean, based off of how athletic you are and how good of a player you are, it almost seems to correlate with, how big of a punishment you get, right? Like Tyreek Hill, that whole situation, I don't know if you guys had heard about it or not, but
yeah,
with him abusing his wife and hitting his kid, and I'm thinking, oh man, or like Adrian Peterson, things like that. Like you just go down the list, and there's so many, and the bigger the athlete, of course it becomes a big deal. And then, like you said, it kind of gets brushed under the rug, and it's like, don't worry about it, So my take is, it's going to continue going as long as the NFL is like this powerhouse money-making machine, and these people make them all their money, So that's just all comes down to the money. I hate to say it like that, but yeah.
Sad but true.
Yep, definitely true. For me, this comes down to the NFL not having the chutzpah to actually do something about it. Do we hear about domestic violence in the Canadian Football League? And I actually have news alerts for the Canadian Football League that come up on my phone, because I like to monitor all levels of football, because who knows, we might identify that next player like Brandon Browner, who came out of the Canadian Football League to have stardom, or Doug Flutie for another big name out there. The NFL allows this to happen because they don't take steps to stop it. We got to think on the Seahawks to make this a little more Seahawks-centric. D. Eskridge served a suspension this year for domestic violence back in February. We didn't hear about that incident when it happened. All of a sudden, a suspension was announced. A little more was dug in, and they found out that's what it was. There shouldn't be a blanket punishment, but there should be harsh punishment for what occurred. I know people who have been falsely accused of domestic violence. I know that it happens out there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I saw a friend with scratch marks and just bleeding from his face, yet he was the one charged with domestic violence instead of the person who didn't have any marks on them whatsoever.
Well, I probably bled on her.
Yeah, because he had his hand out extending, basically stiff arming her from attacking his face. I know it happens. I'm not going to say that any player is guilty or what, but we have the NFL commissioner's exempt list. Let's use it, right? Let guys who have these legal issues take care of that issue away from the league. It's a privilege to play professional football, right? Everybody says, oh no, it's a job, and you have the union and their employees. And I understand that. I generally am a supporter of workers' rights. But in this case, it's not a privilege to be a public figure. You don't just get to be like, hey, I'm a little bit athletic, I'm going to go be this national icon. That's not guaranteed to you. So to say, because I play football, that's guaranteed to me, I don't buy that. I say, if you're a bad influence in the league, every single player in this league is a role model. Whether or not they accept that, every single player in this league is a role model. So what are we putting out there? What are we letting the youth of the nation and the world see? What are we projecting to the world about the United States? If our most visible figures are out there abusing their partners. And the thing that really kind of gets me about this one is the person that Von Miller has this arrest warrant issued for domestic violence against was an ex-girlfriend, I believe, but was pregnant at the time of this incident. So that just takes it to the next level. Listen, NFL, go check with yourself, gain a little bit of intestinal fortitude, and do something about this issue. So I put this squarely on Roger Goodell. He needs to find a way to fix it. Sorry about that. I got a little heated. All right.
I love when Robbie gets heated. It's basically, I was going to make a joke about the Canadian Football League, but Robbie basically is a Canadian. Heated for him is, like not saying sorry.
Yeah. And I got to keep it clean, right? We have family-friendly podcast here.
Absolutely.
So another bit of league news. The Panthers, once again, exemplified themselves as a stellar, stable franchise. And went ahead and fired their head coach in his first year after a 1-10 start. Because, coaches automatically come in with the team they need. They automatically come in with all the players that they want on the roster. And they automatically come in with the playbooks and the philosophies in place that they desire. So, of course, the Panthers not expecting a head coach in his first year to win, 50, 60, 70% of his games. Of course, they're completely justified in being the horrible franchise that they
are. Look, this is something you want to talk about patterns. This is a pattern in the NFL, and it seems that the leeway or the rope that we allow incoming players and new coaches and staffs like that is getting shorter and shorter. In some cases, it's deserved. Like Josh McDaniels, he at least got 1 year, and he shipped off their Pro Bowl quarterback and pissed off their Pro Bowl running back. But with Frank Reich, this is a Super Bowl winning coach. He's now bounced. He took the Eagles to a Super Bowl, had a couple down years, and they bounced him. He had 1 year with the Indianapolis Colts, and they went to the playoffs, and they bounced him. And then now he goes into this the Panthers organization that obviously not doing great because they had they traded up for the number 1 overall pick. They needed a quarterback. They weren't a great team. And they give him half a season, and because his rookie quarterback isn't, blowing up the league like we've seen some rookie quarterbacks do, and the team isn't winning, they're going to get rid of him. It's not unexpected, but it's getting pathetic at this point. Like the league has to understand that it takes time to develop culture. It takes time to develop players. It takes time to develop rookies, especially at the premier position of quarterback. They're just shooting themselves in the foot. I fully expect this team to be in rebuild mode for probably the next decade. My guess is that Bryce Young is going to burn out in the league because they aren't giving him the support he needs, like, keeping the head coach that drafted him. And Panthers is just one of those organizations. I mean, look, as talented as they have been with guys like, Cam Newton, or I always forget the middle linebacker's name that was drafted before Bobby Wagner because he shouldn't have been. Luke Kuechly, thank you. The Panthers. It's just the Panthers are one of those organizations that just can't seem to get it right. I don't think they ever will. I think their highlight was losing in the Super Bowl to a half-dead Peyton Manning, and that's probably as far as that team's ever going to go. So there's my take.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I think, head coaches and quarterbacks, it's usually one or the other, and it's like, man, like everybody wants the next, Patty Mahomes out there, but people don't realize Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for 2 years, something like that. Just watch.
Almost 2 full seasons.
Yeah, and everybody wants like an Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 2 or 3 seasons.
Oh wait, you mean the teams developed their rookie quarterback before throwing him out to the Wolves? That's so weird.
Yeah. It's so
That's
great.
so weird.
You gotta do that with your head coaches as well. It's like, come on, guys. Like, there's got to be a little bit of a grace period there. Everybody wants microwave their team's microwaved and not oven. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
even the Cowboys, Dak Prescott. I mean, the only reason he was the starter is because Romo couldn't, walk on the field without tearing something. But he didn't get thrust into the starting role because the team was like, yeah, let's just throw him the wolves. They wanted him to sit behind Tony Romo for, probably, at least a couple of years. I guess lucky for you guys, it didn't happen that way. He's one of those guys that was able to come in the league and just blow it up because he's just that athletic and talented. But that's not everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Coaches especially, they, like you said, it takes a lot to build a culture. I mean, geez, I run a real estate company, and I know what it takes to build a culture. I mean, I can only imagine I'm only dealing with 4 guys. He's dealing with 52 plus however many other guys he's got in his company. It's like, holy crap. So not easy.
Yeah, you got to think 53 plus I think it's a 10 or 12 man practice squad, plus all the coaches, plus all the training staff and support people. Like, the head coach has a lot of people that he influences. And so, yeah, culture goes deep.
Yeah.
Top from the head person to the mailroom. They all have to be ingrained in part of that culture.
Yeah.
Does Frank Reich need want a coaching job? I think we have an opening for a run game coordinator.
Run game coordinator / better play caller. Yeah. I'm down. All right. So speaking of that, actually, this team, let's move over to the team news. There's not a lot of noteworthy kind of news items that came out this week for team news. So I'm just going to say team news. Hey, it's another throwback game. Let's see those best throwbacks in the league.
Best jerseys. My God, let's just go back to them. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, I've been a Seahawks fan since I was born in 1981. We obviously moved on from those uniforms pretty late. I think was it 99? We switched to the other one, so I didn't really get to see it. I mean, I was a kid, but man, I still have a Steve Largent poster because it's just a good uniform. And to see it out now, I'm like, yeah, let's up there. Let's go back. Beautiful color scheme.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's just go right into transactions. All right. So I'll bang these out real quick so we can get into the meat of the episode and pick James's brain about the Cowboys. So let's see. Transactions for the Seahawks. This happened after our podcast last week. So even though this happened prior to the game, we didn't mention it. So they were able to reinstate defensive back Kobe Bryant from injured reserve, and that paid off in the game. Didn't get a ton of playing time, but he did force a fumble on special teams, picking up.
The man's a beast.
Yep. And the corresponding move, we all knew it was coming. They placed safety Jarek Reed II on injured reserve because he tore that ACL. As far as our practice squad moves this week, we signed former Cowboy and NFL veteran Kelvin Joseph to the practice squad. and wide receiver Cody Wright as well. And then the corresponding moves we released, offensive guard Ben Brown, who actually got a start for the Seahawks earlier in the year before being moved down to the practice squad. And preseason standout outside linebacker Levi Bell was released. So hopefully they're keeping him around a little bit of the Seahawks ghost roster where they bring guys in and out of the building. So hopefully he's back. We all like what we saw from Levi Bell. We were hoping he could find a way to contribute to the team this year. And then the injury report. The Seahawks have a few people here listed on their game day status injury report. As far as out, we have offensive guard Phil Haynes. I'm not too sad about this. I would like to see some specific offensive line combinations. That's nothing against Phil Haynes. I would like to see some other player combinations, and this might be an opportunity for them to try that out. The one I really want to see is Evan Brown moving over to right guard and Olusegun Oluwatimi coming in at center. He is going to be the center of the future. I would like to see him get some more snaps. And this would really be a test against the defensive front of the Cowboys.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but we'll see. What's probably going to happen is Evan Brown will still be at center and Anthony Bradford will be in at right guard. But like I said, I'd like to see some other combinations since what they've been doing lately hasn't really worked.
Understatement of the year.
We have a couple players who are doubtful. Wide receiver Derek Young. He came back. He re-aggravated that injury right after he came back from injured reserve. It's probably going to take him a few weeks to get back. I believe it's an abdominal thing. So it's tough when you can't breathe, right? So let's hope he gets healthy. And then running back Kenneth Walker III is also doubtful. The Seahawks don't play doubtful players. The last time a doubtful player played in a game was 2015, and it was Bruce Irvin. So it's probably not going to happen. It hasn't happened in 8 years. As far as the players that are questionable, we have wide receiver D. Eskridge, who was probably the one bright spot from the game last week, and tight end Will Dissly. I think this could hurt the team in the sense that he's the best blocking tight end we have. The Cowboys have a fierce pass rush, and if we're not able to have a good inline blocking tight end out to whatever side needs help, that could hurt this team. So hopefully Will Dissly's ready to go. And then defensive end Leonard Williams is also listed as questionable. And that really does hurt. So
yes,
hopefully all three of those guys are good to go. Adam, do you have any news on the Cowboys injury report?
Yeah, the Cowboys are playing games. They have not released the game day status for any of their people that were limited or out of practice this last week. The best news I can give you is that Micah Parsons and Dante Fowler were both limited this week. Neither one of them practiced yesterday because of due to illness, but their game day status currently is listed as unspecified. I'm betting they both play. The Cowboys are coming into this game pretty darn healthy. Other than the guys that we've already seen go down this year, like Leighton Vander Esch and Trayvon Diggs, they're coming in with a pretty full complement of players. So the Seahawks are going to be tested.
Definitely. And illness hasn't kept players down before. Who here remembers Brett Favre's flu game where he just went off for like 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns? It was an amazing performance.
I think the defense just didn't want to touch him. They were worried that he was contagious.
Typhoid Brett, is that what was going on there?
There you go.
Okay. All right. So every week we go in and give our 5 keys to success. Well, this week we have the Cowboys' response to our 5 keys to success. So this will be interesting. We love having guests on. So once again, James, thank you for coming in and lending your insight to these.
Your unique perspective.
Yes, sir. Super unique compared to the two of you. So,
all right. In order for the Cowboys to even have a chance, and that's how I looked at this, is to even remotely sniff a W. They have to do these things. So number one,
the Seahawks, not the Cowboys. This is the Seahawks. The way the Seahawks.
My bad. Sorry, I was just looking at Cowboy James there and got Cowboys on the brain. All right, yes.
Speaking it into existence.
There you go. In order for the Seahawks to sniff a win, we came up with these 5 things. So the first one is use multiple tight end sets. Now, I did mention Will Dissly is questionable, so hopefully he's good to go. But we need to use our other 2 guys. The Seahawks have the most complete tight end room in the league. We have 4 tight ends. Our first, second, and third tight end are interchangeable. They can all block. They are all athletic. They all have great hands. Our 4th tight end is a awesome core special teamer who actually got in the game a few weeks ago. That's Brady Russell. He got in the game a few weeks ago, kind of at a fullback position. So they're finding ways to use him, and we're using all of those guys. So with the most complete tight end group, let's stop leaving them on the sideline, Shane Waldron, and let's use them to their advantage. Deron Bland for the Cowboys has 7 interceptions this year. 5 of those interceptions he returned for touchdowns. And here's another stat. Of those 7 interceptions, 5 of them came against 11 personnel. Now, the Cowboys eat against 11 personnel, right? They salivate when you come out with 11 personnel. What do the Seahawks do 70, 75% of the time?
11 personnel.
Trot out there in 11 personnel. So my metric for this, in order for this to be successful, is I want to see less than 30% of 11 personnel on the field for the Seahawks.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been harping on this for 2 years now. The Seahawks have a great tight end room. We're paying a bunch of money to that tight end room, and we're not utilizing them. I don't know why. I don't understand why. I really don't. It hasn't made sense for 2 years now. Shane Waldron is a former tight ends coach and somehow forgets that the tight ends exist. Explain it to me. I'll tell you what, there's going to be a theme for these 5 keys. And I'm gonna say the same thing over and over again when we're talking about this. The only way the Seahawks win this game is to dominate the time of possession. The only way to beat Dallas is to not let them score. The only way for Dallas not to score is for that offense not to be on the field. The only way that the offense is not going to be on the field is if our offense is on the field. That's how football works. So we've seen it all year, right? When we utilize the tight ends correctly, the offense is successful. I mean, that's been the story of the Seahawks. If we use multiple tight end sets often, use them as blockers and receivers, we have success on offense. Why we keep going away from it, I don't know. But you've already said it, right? They feast on 11 personnel. Let's not use 11 personnel if we don't have to. And we don't have to. We could have 2 tight end sets. We could have 3 tight end sets. We can have no tight end sets. And I don't want to see a lot of that either. But this is a defense that gets after the quarterback and covers receivers very well. Those are the 2 things that this Cowboys team does very, very well. Covering receivers, rushing the quarterback. You know what we can do to help negate that? Put tight ends out on the field. They can block. They can receive. This is pretty basic. This is pretty basic football. I almost did it. This is pretty basic football, and it's really becoming inexcusable for us not to be utilizing our tight ends.
Yeah, I think. Oh boy, yeah, you guys are gonna have to run the ball early and often and try to get ahead of us, because I got a feeling if Cowboys come out swinging and we get ahead by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever the number could be, I'm just gonna ride
5.
it. Just gonna have Micah Parsons come pinning the ears back and just start getting those sacks. Let's start racking them up, and then you gotta get your receivers out on the field, right? You gotta be passing the ball. It's gonna be really hard to run, try to run the clock out when you're coming in from behind. So that's my thing. Yeah, you guys got to get out in front of us in order to use those tight end sets early and often. That's my take on it.
Yeah,
it's a big ask for the Seahawks, because we have not been the first team to score very often, and certainly not holding the lead very often. So,
yeah, the Cowboys feast. We just got done with Thanksgiving, right? Seahawks didn't deliver. They did their best impression of the U.S. Postal Service and did not deliver on Thanksgiving. And so instead of providing the Cowboys with the Thanksgiving that is the normal offensive sets that the Seahawks use, let's just bring them a Happy Meal, right? Little tiny burger and fries. That's it. right? 30%. That's all I ask. All right. Number
Let's
2.
Talk Seahawks podcast, the dad jokes for fans like you. All right.
Dad.
I
Good.
know.
I got it. All right. Our number 2 key to success is take the gifts. Listen, the Cowboys defense is stout. In fact, the Cowboys defense is the number 3 defense in the NFL. And they are securely one of the better defenses that we're going to face this year. They're not going to give up these deep shots. They're not going to give up all of these fancy things. So you just take what they give you. A little check down here, little short crossing route, 3 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, first down, right? That's the recipe. 10 yards. I know Shane Waldron is not familiar with the fact that it only takes 10 yards to get a first down. And that those 10 yards can come in multiple ways. But there's one formula for you. 3 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, new set of downs. So you got to take what the defense is going to give you. I think that's going to take those short routes. It's going to take a lot of a manufactured concept, some levels concepts, use some of that, maybe a smash concept to the outside in order to uncover some of those underneath routes. So I got to put my metric for success on this one. It's on Shane Waldron, but the metric comes off of Geno Smith's stat. So if Geno Smith can have greater than 65% completion percentage, primarily using those underneath routes, then the Seahawks are going to have a chance.
Yeah, look, I mean, you said it right. Take the gifts. I mean, Thanksgiving's over, which means Christmas season's here. Christmas season's it's the season of giving. Hopefully the Cowboys are feeling the season and are willing to give us some stuff, but they're not going to give much. They're stingy. So yeah, we need to take whatever they do give us. Look, I think the only way that we're going to win this game is if the majority of our targets are to tight ends and running backs. Kenny McIntosh is healthy and ready to go in this game. Zach Charbonnet has fantastic hands out of the backfield. Instead of 9 targets early to DK Metcalf on the outside, let's go 9 targets early to Zach Charbonnet, JSN, and Kenny McIntosh. I'd like to see those guys handle the majority of the passing work in this game. I really would. We know that when guys like Colby Parkinson and Will Dissly, obviously, or even Noah Fant, are asked to be lead blockers on a screen pass or a check down pass to the running back, they kill it. They can open up lanes. Get Kenny McIntosh, get Zach Charbonnet, get JSN in space, and let them do what they do.
Yeah, I think. Took the words right out of my mouth. I think utilizing your running backs, utilizing those, like you said, those tight end sets, and just getting the ball out quick, doing screenplays, things like that. I think that's an area that I've always been one. I always look at the Cowboys and I'm like, guys, you gave up that much off of a screenplay? Like, come on, So it's like, yeah, okay. There's moments where I'm like, all right, that might be like a little bit of a weakness, because then what that causes and I'm not trying to not be a Cowboys homer, but what that causes is when Micah Parsons comes around the end and is just booking it, he has to think twice before he comes in and lays on the wood on the quarterback. He's like, oh crap, he gave it over to the running back and now we're in trouble. So it's like, all right, those misdirections, people have played really well against us when they use misdirection plays as well, because like literally we pin our ears back and just go. And if you can get us committed to something and we're just rolling, then you can utilize that, get a running back doing misdirections, maybe have Geno hold the ball and, do some kind of play action plays, things like that, some options. So I'm like, I don't know, there's a lot of different variety there, but still, again, when it comes to the Cowboys, I mean, that defensive line play is just ridiculous. I mean, the penetration there, man, I mean, it's going to be really, really hard, but fun to watch. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I got to say the Cowboys fans and the Seahawks fans have that in common, the exasperation of what screen passes look like against our defenses, because that's been a bugaboo for the Seahawks for a long, long time, pretty much in the Pete Carroll era. When KJ Wright's not out on the field, we can't protect a screen pass. I'll say this: it'd be really nice to see a game plan specifically designed on offense to attack this defense. I guess I always thought that that's what an offensive coordinator did, was dial up a game plan to counteract the defense that they happen to be going against that week. But I haven't seen it since Shane Waldron joined the staff. So maybe I'm wrong and that's not what his job is. But maybe this week he could try it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big ask, Adam.
It is. I know. I ask a lot.
The funny thing is, both of what you guys said leads us into our third key to success. And that is that we need to have a balanced offense. The Cowboys are number 2 in the NFL in pass rush.
Come on.
I mean, they're getting after it, right? Quarterback's nightmare going against this Cowboys defense. So once again, we need to use the run game in order to kind of cancel out that pass rush. Like what you said, James, make Micah Parsons think twice before he commits that pass rush. Maybe he needs to keep an eye on that running back. So have a balanced offense, which is not the Seahawks forte. I'm going to say the success metric on this, we need 24 called run plays. And that will help us out on third downs because it will allow for more options. You talked about Geno Smith and play action passes, opening up some play action passes. Well, Geno Smith has some ridiculous number, like 75% completions in play action.
Out of play action.
Probably higher than that, out of play action. And
it's 78 point something. I remember we were talking about this a while back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the Seahawks have not run the ball in order to set up those play action shots. So once again, it goes to a balanced offense, but balanced and effective game plan is probably more of an accurate metric. So like I said, on this one, 24 called run plays. We'll see how they do.
Yeah, look, we've only seen the Seahawks team try and be what head coach Pete Carroll says they are, and that is a run first team. I think twice this season. We have yet to see a game where it's a 50-50 split or a majority run. So I don't know. I mean, I know that that's not really the metric that we use, but if this is a run first team, then let's think about run first. Let's establish the run first. I honestly, if we go out there and our first drive is 3 runs in a row and we gain no yards, I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. Let's go. Let's run the ball 3 times and get 0 yards. I'm okay with that. I would rather that than watch us throw the ball 3 times and gain no yards.
To DK
I really would.
40 yards down the field 3 times.
I really would. I just want I know that, not having Kenneth Walker it sucks. The man is lightning and on the field, and he's great to watch run. We don't have him. So that means we need to play to the strengths of the 2 guys that we do have, and we still have 2 guys that are very, very good at the position. Kenny McIntosh is just an incredibly talented guy. He's very slippery when coming out when running the ball outside or between the tackles because he's a little dude. He can get low. He's very slippery. A little hole is all he needs. Zach Charbonnet is a beast. Why we're not letting him build up a head of steam, I don't know. But that's the only way we're going to be getting him going is get him touches. He needs 15, especially if he's going to be the lead back, 15, 16 touches or runs out of the backfield. And let's also pass to him. But yeah, it would be really nice to hit that metric, that sweet spot that I know you love, and that's 55-45. I think we've only seen it once this season. It'd be really nice if we saw it again this game. I might actually be okay with losing to the Cowboys if we just looked like we knew what we were doing on offense.
Yeah. I think it's hard to do that when you're playing from behind.
Well, let's not get behind then, James. That's kind of my point.
There you go. Yeah. But no, I do think I would love to see, your guys come out and run the ball 3 plays in a row and not gain a single yard. That would be great. Let's do that plan. Let's go.
I'm okay with you liking that. I really am.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Yeah, and realistically, this could be 24 rushes for 60 yards. But I'm okay with that because it will still set up play action. It will still make the defense keep track of some of those other things that they need to do.
Yeah, if all we're gonna do is stand back there and throw the ball, Micah Parsons is gonna have his best game of the season.
Yeah, they might as well just cook him a Thanksgiving feast, and we'll just repeat the Niners
Christmas feast. Thanksgiving's over. It's Christmas feast now. A holiday feast. Let's be neutral here. It's a holiday feast for Micah Parsons, but hopefully not.
All right, so number 4 in these keys to success, lockdown defense. All right, we talked about how good the Cowboys are on defense. Well, the Cowboys are better on offense than they are on defense. So the Cowboys have the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. Yeah. They put up points. They put up points in bunches. So it's tough, right? We need to disrupt that passing game. And I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I have a metric for it, but we need
give us your metric, Rob.
Well, okay, we know we have a talented secondary, right? As far as pure talent. The Cowboys are playing great right now in their secondary, but our secondary pure talent is phenomenal with Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Jamal Adams, right? Quandre Diggs. And we'll wait for Adam to come back.
Or am I not back? Sorry, I didn't realize I left.
So we know that there is just talent across our secondary. That talent needs to show up, right? They need to find a way to kind of limit Dak Prescott's success down the field. So here's my metric, and this is one that I'm not really happy about, but we need to limit them to less than 24 points on offense.
That's a big ask, Rob. And I just want to shout out and say thanks to James for covering up that head of hair, so I'm not jealous anymore about it. Appreciate you, man. I didn't know if you got that text that I sent you. So, look, I said it in the beginning, and I said I was going to say it multiple times. So I'm going to say it again. The only way to beat the Cowboys right now is to not let their offense score. And the only way to keep their offense from scoring is to keep their offense off the field, because when the offense is on the field, they score points. That's what the Cowboys offense does. So if we're going to win this game, we need to dominate the time of possession. This needs to be like we talked about in the last episode about how much more time the defense has spent on the field this season. Our defense has literally played a full game more than the offense. They've been out there for a full hour longer than our offense so far this season. Let's flip that. I would love to see us have 40 minutes of offense and 20 minutes of defense. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen at least 3 games where it's been pretty close to 40 minutes of defense and 20 minutes of offense. Let's flip it. That's the only way that we come out with a win. Like, I know we've got 5 keys to success. That is the only key to success that matters. We dominate the time of possession. We keep that offense off the field. That's the only way we have a shot here. That's it.
I think I would just love to see the Cowboys utilize Tony Pollard a lot more than they have, honestly.
I wouldn't.
They needed to, realistically, I mean, he's been there to run the ball near the end of games, to run the clock out and stuff. It's been great. But I would kind of love to see the Cowboys really start to utilize that run game a little bit more. Get some of those screen passes. I saw a couple of those come out. I think Rico Dalble, however you say his name, had a touchdown that last game where they did a screen pass to him. It was epic. I was like, this is great. This is what I like to see. Just mixed variety kind of going on. But yeah, I think if Cowboys can run the ball with Tony Pollard and let that man eat, like former Zeke, which I'm kind of glad. That's another one. I'm glad he's gone too. Go down the road with that. But yeah, let Tony Pollard eat a little bit of lunch and or dinner. It'll be dinner time. So and then yeah, I mean, the whole lockdown defense thing. Hey man, realistically, if we're running the ball, like you said, it opens up the pass game. We got CeeDee Lamb coming over the top. We got tight end Ferguson wide
Brandon
open.
Cooks.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks. Oh man, popping the top off, man. Brandon Cooks has been cooking. So yeah, I mean I don't know, that's hard. That's real hard for them to lock us down. But I think the key to fighting off a lockdown defense is going to be running the ball, keeping your defense worn the heck out, keeping them just getting pounded. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah, look, if the Cowboys end up with more rush attempts than the Seahawks, the Cowboys have won the game. I mean, I'll just say that. If Tony Pollard has more carries than Zach Charbonnet, Cowboys won.
Yep.
And Tony Pollard might not have gone over 100 yards rushing many times this season, but he's gone the last 4 games over 100 total scrimmage yards. So he's a threat in the pass game as well. And then Rico Dowdle, he used to be one of my favorite pickups in Madden, and I used to position change him to a wide receiver, and I'd use him out of the slot. He used to tear it up for me all the time. So I got a little affinity for him just because I used to play with him in Madden, and I think he's a good player anyway. All right. So going into our 5th and final key to success, we got to keep up the pressure. The Cowboys are crazy good, right? We already talked about this, right? Their offensive line is good. Dak Prescott's having a career year. But at one point this season, the Seahawks were ranked number 1 in the NFL in pressures. They have the ability to do it. So they need to turn back the clock a little bit, a few weeks, and they need to get back to those games where they were having 35, 36, 37 pressures per game and just harass Dak Prescott. Now, I went to PFF. I went to look up the grades to see how Dak Prescott kind of responds when he's pressured. And I was a little disappointed because, first of all, he's the number 1 graded quarterback in the league right now with over a 90, I think like 91 point something. So when he's not pressured, that's still in the low 90s. When he is pressured, I think he has an 83 grade. So yeah, there's not too much of a fall off there. Dak Prescott is having, like I said, a career year, and I think a dark horse to win the MVP. So keep an eye out there, because that's if they can make a good run, then I could see that happening, and it would be well deserved. So I got to give a metric. And my metric on keep up the pressure is going to be, we need over 25 pressures just to get Dak Prescott thinking, right? And make him make quick decisions and have to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
Yeah, look, 80 something's less than 90 something. So whatever we can do to affect the game, that's great. Let's do it. If you can, James, when we kick it over to you, if you can just explain the Trey Lance trade for me, because Dak Prescott is a great, very good, very good to great quarterback. So I'll never understand why Jerry Jones decided to throw away a 3rd round pick for someone that we knew couldn't play, or looks like he can't play in the league. Yeah, I mean, the defense is going to have its work cut out for it, just like the offense is. I mean, this is probably the worst matchup the Seahawks have this season, and yet we still think it's probably their best chance to steal a win over the next 3 games, which is sad. Well, I mean, look, we have NFC championship Philadelphia Eagles next, and then the 49ers, who apparently just eat or steal our lunch money every time we see them. So this is our best chance to steal a W in the next 3 games, and it's not a very good one. So yeah, whatever this defense can do, whether it's pressuring the quarterback with blitzes, which, look, I know we love putting Devin Witherspoon out on blitzes, but he's also a really great cover man. You know, we have a guy named Jamal Adams in that backfield. If we want to blitz somebody out of the backfield, let's blitz Jamal Adams. I mean, and you don't even have to take him out of coverage to do that. Just do a lot of big nickel. Keep 2 safeties out there. Keep two corners out there. Keep a nickel corner out there, and just have him fill in for, I don't know, whoever needs some water, either Bobby Wagner or Jordan Brooks, and rush him from that spot. But this is going to be a big ask. This Cowboys O-line is not what it used to be, but it's still a pretty darn good O-line. So yeah, we're gonna have to find ways. Both of our coordinators have their work cut out for them this week.
Yeah, I was watching Dak Prescott sitting back there making a grilled cheese sandwich and throwing some, I mean, he was doing all sorts of stuff, throwing eggs and everything. He was like, how else can I throw on the skillet? I mean, he had so much time sitting in the pocket, y'all. I mean, you could have 10, 15 seconds is what it felt like, man. And with that kind of time, no cornerback can cover any. You just can't cover it, dude. And then I mean, with
Yeah.
the Texas Coast offense, I mean, we're built to essentially like that West Coast kind of feel, where it's like you're supposed to release the ball quickly, but it's like they've got like a little double move every time. Every play that you see like CeeDee Lamb getting open, it's off of like a double move, or like Cooks, is like it's the same thing, kind of like a little double move, little post corner route, something going on like that. So it's like Dak's watching it. He's like, okay, post ain't open. Oh, well, okay, now I'm rolling outside the pocket, and boom, there it is. Corner route's wide open. Stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you got to keep up the pressure all you want, but I mean, like you said, it doesn't do too much to Dak, and the fact that our big old boys up front have been playing really, really well. I think we'll be okay, but I don't know. You said how many? You didn't say how many pressures do you need? 25? Is that what you said?
25 is that'll mean that we actually got some pressure on them, because we've been struggling a little bit with that. But 25 pressures means we're at least getting after it. Yeah, pressuring Dak hasn't worked out really great, but it works out much better than not pressuring him. So whatever we can do to make that ball come out quicker, that there's a better chance that our defensive backs are going to have to make a play the faster that he has to throw. So
yeah, and I mean, can't forget. I mean, again, I'm a Cowboys homer through and through, but I mean, what was it just last year? How many interceptions did Dak throw? Like it's like
he does like to do it sometimes. Hopefully, this is one of those games where he's like, you know what? I've thrown a bunch of touchdowns this year. Let's balance this with a few interceptions. That would be nice.
I'm like, oh gosh, like you said, take the gifts when they're given to you. If Dak just throws an errant pass out there randomly, which again he has a tendency to do that sometimes. If he does that, take your gift. You could take it home. You could get a pick six off of it, but I don't know.
Jordan Brooks 2 weeks in a row. That'd be nice.
There you go.
Or Tariq Woolen with his 4.26 speed, or Witherspoon, who hit 21 miles per hour on his pick six earlier in the year. We got some speed in that secondary. So
we do.
It could definitely
happen.
Yeah.
All right. So we just talked a lot about Dak Prescott. I praised him, thought he could be an MVP candidate this year, which leads us right into our position comparisons. With all of that said, it should really not be a surprise that in the quarterback matchup for this, I am going to go with the Dallas Cowboys and take Dak Prescott over Geno Smith, especially the way Geno Smith has been playing as of late.
Yeah, look, no question. If we were having this conversation last year, I think I'd probably pick Geno. I can't pick him now. I mean, Dak is playing at an MVP level. Geno Smith isn't really playing at any level that can be called professional. So there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to compare it to last year. Yeah, last year, I would have been Geno all day. I have Geno riding my bench on fantasy football, if that tells you anything. So,
all right. For the running backs, if Kenneth Walker III was healthy, this might be a different story. I'd probably go Seahawks all the way, but I like the Dallas running back room, and I like our backups. I don't really count Charbonnet as a backup. They're more co-starters, but I gave this one a push. I said these are pretty equally matched with Kenneth Walker being out.
Yeah, I'm still going to tilt this one in the Cowboys' favor just because of how well Tony Pollard's been playing this year, and we haven't really seen Zach Charbonnet get going yet. I think talent-wise, it's probably pretty close, but if we're just seeing, like, if we're talking about comparing what's been going on the field, I have to give this to the Cowboys. Again, I love Deuce Vaughn. What's his name? Dable is a very talented third down back and can do a lot coming out of the backfield. They're two very talented running back rooms, but the Cowboys have a fully healthy one, so I'm giving it to them.
Yeah, I'm going all Cowboys on this one. Like you said, fully healthy. Tony Pollard, I think this has the potential to be just a breakout game for him. You said, I don't know that he's hit over 100 yards in very many games this year.
Yeah.
Please don't let this be the game.
I wanted to see them run the ball a lot more, but they haven't had, it's just like, hey, everything's clicking, so you don't really have to, but I'd love to see him just go ham. Plus, I have him on fantasy as well, so that'd help out. So, Cowboys for me, for sure.
All right, wide receivers. I love the talent in our wide receiver room. Right. We have, Tyler Lockett's probably one of my favorite wide receivers out there. He is the number one most talented wide receiver on the Seahawks roster. DK Metcalf might be looked at as that number one, but Tyler Lockett is the complete package, and DK Metcalf is still working on some of those things to become that in the future. I'm going to give this matchup to the Cowboys, but it's a very slight edge, and a lot of that's with some of the inconsistencies we've seen, primarily with DK Metcalf in those last couple games.
Yeah, I think this is going to be my first push too. I was actually leaning a little bit more towards the Seahawks, because I do think as a talent, as far as just a room full of talent, and because of of the age factor we've got, Brandon Cooks has been a very consistent player his entire time in the NFL. He's very, very good, but he's getting up there. Him and Tyler Lockett kind of they equal or they net. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They cancel each other out. That's the term I was looking for right there. And as much as I want DK Metcalf to be that dominant number one receiver, he's not yet. Unfortunately, CeeDee Lamb is that. So, I think, I think I'm going to have to say I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. I hate doing it, really do. And I wish JSN had been more of a factor so far this year. Maybe I could have swung it the Seahawks way, but I'm giving this one to the Cowboys. Man, I'm becoming a Cowboys homer. This is awful.
Come on to the dark side. Let's do it. I gotta go Cowboys on this one. I think CeeDee Lamb is just on a freaking tear, man. Same with Cooks. They're both on a tear, but I gotta give it to your boys, your Seahawks receivers. I mean, DK Metcalf has one of the best football plays I've ever seen in my life, chasing down Budda Baker. I watched that probably 10 times after that, just because I was like, how did this happen? The dude tracked that man down like 80 yards and tackled him. I mean,
from the opposite side of the field.
Yeah, from the opposite side of the field, man. Like, Pete Carroll came on and was just like, best football player I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just like, okay. And then Tyler Lockett is catching ball. I mean, man, nothing would piss me off more than to see Tyler Lockett catch a back of the end zone toe drag, little reach, like the full reach kind of thing. Dude, he does those kind of plays all the time. I'm like, what? How did he get open? Like when Russell Wilson would be like throwing balls and like they would show like percent chance of being caught. It was like, 17% chance. Like, dude, get out of here, man. You're back of the end zone, toe drag swag. I was like, all right, whatever, dude. But no, I still got to go Cowboys. They're just clicking. And yeah, that's what I got. So.
All right, James has convinced me. I'm going back. I'm gonna say push.
Ooh.
There you go. All right. How about that tight end room? I said it earlier. This is the most complete group of tight ends in the league on the Seahawks. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks for these tight ends.
Yeah, I mean this might be the only one where I can really just say, yeah, the Seahawks are more talented. I do think Ferguson's a very talented tight end. He may be the complete package. There was basically no drop off after letting Dalton Schultz walk this offseason. He's a very good tight end, but we have him and Noah Fant, and then we've got two other guys that are just as good. So yeah, I'm going to give our tight end room the check here.
Yeah, I think you guys have better tight ends. I mean, Ferguson is good. I've seen a couple sketchy plays where I'm just like, all right, it hits you in the hands, dude. Like, you got to catch those, like I've seen a few of those where I'm like, that's hard to watch. But yeah, you guys just got more overall talent on tight ends for sure.
All right. Offensive line. I'm going Dallas. We have issues. We have injury issues. We have things going on the offensive line. I probably would have gone with Dallas's offensive line, even if our start of the year starters were all healthy. I'm going Dallas or O-line.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think if we were talking about the way that that position group played at the beginning of the season, it'd be a tough for me to say that the Seahawks don't take it. I think that we've got great guys along there that apparently just haven't gelled yet. The difference is the Cowboys' offensive line has been consistent this year, and they've gelled and they're playing really, really well, and ours is not. So yeah, I got to give it to the Cowboys. I hate saying it. I got to give it to the Cowboys again.
I love it. I love hearing it. I got to definitely give it to the Cowboys on that one. Like I said, I mean, Dak Prescott's back there making up a whole meal, a 5-course dinner for you guys. So, like, he's just like, all right, I'm working on dessert. Give me a little bit more time. And it's just like, dude, you got all day, man. So, yeah, they're just gelling really well right now. So,
All right. Defensive line. This one, I really wanted to give it to the Seahawks the way that Jaron Reed's been playing this year with Leonard Williams coming in. I mean, like, we've got some guys who are stepping up and playing really well, but Leonard Williams is questionable for this game, so we don't know what we're going to see or how much we're going to see of him. So with those question marks, I'm giving this to the Cowboys. That defensive front has been playing pretty well, and yeah, I got to give it to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically just I would just ape everything you just said. I'm right there with you. Sadly, I do have to give this matchup to the Cowboys too. If Leonard Williams was coming in healthy and Draymond Jones had been playing like he had when he was playing in Denver, I might be tempted to give it to the Seahawks, but right now I can't.
I mean, I got nothing to say about it. Yeah, Cowboys our defensive line is just ridiculous. So yeah, I got to give it to the Cowboys on that one.
All right, linebackers. I'm going back to the Seahawks here. Now, I know that Cowboys have Parsons, and he is an all pro, all world NFL linebacker. He's great, but we have two guys who are playing their top 5 in linebacker grades and linebacker tackles. Like, they're playing lights out, both Brooks and Wagner. So I'm going to let that cancel out. If the Cowboys had somebody else who was
Van Der Esch was healthy.
Van Der Esch is on injured reserve. So if they had somebody else there, I think this would be more of a discussion, but I don't think Parsons takes it on his own against both Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks.
Yeah, look, I mean, Micah Parsons is the complete package when it comes to NFL linebacker. He may be the most talented NFL linebacker of his generation. I mean, this guy looks like Ray Lewis returning. Or actually looks more like he looks a little bit more like Troy Polamalu if Troy Polamalu had played linebacker rather than safety. But yeah, Jordan Brooks has come back from that injury and is playing the best football of his life right now. Bobby Wagner is still Bobby Wagner. A slight edge to the Seahawks. It's only slight. If Van Der Esch was there, I'd probably have to call it a push. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Seahawks on this one.
I think Michael Parsons counts for 2 players. So legit, like, I feel like he could cover 2 guys at one time if he wanted to. He's just like, wait, hang on, you stay over there. He's just so daggone fast, man. And he's got such an eye for just football, man. He knows where the ball's going. He knows what's happening. He's so strong. He pushed through some big boys the last couple games that I've been watching. I was just like, what? And if he can't push through them, he just goes around them. It's like, holy crap. So, and then plus half the time he lines up as a D end anyway. So it's like, I don't know. That's just enough for me to kind of still err on the side of the Cowboys on that one.
Fair enough.
All right. Defensive backs. Man, raw talent, true talent. I would give it to the Seahawks, but the Cowboys are playing just lights out. So do we go by how they're currently playing? Because that would go to the Cowboys. I'm torn. I'm going to, take the easy way out of this one. I'm going to give it a push. But that's kind of where I see it. True talent and potential would go Seahawks, but the Cowboys, you can't argue with the way they're playing right now. So I'm going to give this a push.
Yeah, I think, look, if Trayvon Diggs was still there, you guys would have 2 legit ball hawks in that secondary, and I wouldn't want to throw on you at all. I think I'm going to give this one to the Seahawks. Again, just looking at how complete our secondary is as far as talent goes, and yeah, they haven't been playing up to their potential, but my boy Kobe Bryant's back. I'm giving it to the Seahawks. I think Kobe makes a play, gets a turnover this game. I don't know if it's going to be the difference, but I think it's going to happen.
Oh, man. Deron Bland has more touchdowns than DK Metcalf. That's all I got to say about that secondary. So I got to go with secondary goes the Cowboys on that one, man. That's we're setting records over here. And, yeah, even though I would love if we had Trayvon Diggs, that would have been nasty. But, I mean,
we still
gross guys out there. And really it's about the scheme as well. I mean, we scheme up really, really well on defense. So, like, all defensive positions, I'm still like, all right, like, I feel like they have the upper hand. Dan Quinn, is just
we love Dan Quinn here in Seattle, so
That's exactly. Yeah. Legion of Doom over Legion of Boom. There you go.
Yep. He's got a sparkly finger ornamentation due to the Seahawks. So
What if he
So
wears that on the Cowboys sideline? Man, I hope he does.
talk about shade, right? Throwing a little shade at the Seahawks. Ugh. I can't blame him for leaving. He went to go be a head coach of the Falcons. So, that was a career.
Another guy that was fired too soon.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That was. He did have that rough Super Bowl. Craziest Super Bowl I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah. Ugh, hated seeing it.
All right.
Nobody likes watching the Patriots win.
No, exactly. No.
All right, guys. Give me your prediction for the game or predictions. Maybe you have a score and an event that might happen. So what are your predictions for the game? And then give me your final thoughts going into this one.
Well, I already gave you a prediction. I said that Kobe Bryant's going to come in and make a play, get a turnover. Hoping that's the difference in the game. Man, I'd love to see it. Gosh, if we're having troubles tackling in the secondary, let's see, maybe Kobe gets some time at outside corner. Maybe. What do you think, Pete? That'd be great. I'd love to see him get a chance. I'm gonna pull a Robbie on this. Robert, I am going to give you two predictions. I'm going to tell you what I think the game score is going to be and what I would be satisfied with. I honestly think we're going to see a pretty rough game. I think the offense is going to put up more than 3 points, which would be really, really nice. I think we're going to see probably 34-17 in the favor of the Dallas Cowboys. I hate to say it, but I think that's probably that might be the best I can hope for here. What I'd really like to see is our first competitive game. I would really love to see the Seahawks come out and play 60 full minutes toe-to-toe with the Cowboys. I'd love to see 31-34 Cowboys.
Man, okay. I think it's going to be 34-7 Cowboys. I think we hold you guys.
Jason Myers has got a leg, man. You're not even going to give him one field goal?
Nope. I mean, it's either going to be that or it's 35. Oh man, you don't want to hear my laugh. I was going to say 45-3. I was going to say this is like a rerun of beginning of the season against the Giants. I'm like, I'd love to see one of those happen, but no, I think Deron Bland gets another pick six. I don't know. That's just kind of an off the cuff prediction, and I do think that.
So you think Drew Lock's going to come in at some point in the game? Is what you're saying?
You said what?
So you're saying Drew Lock's going to come in at some point in the game?
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I do think I feel pretty good that Michael Parsons is going to be able to pin his ears back, and I think he's going to get at least 2 sacks, maybe 3 in this game. Just doing it, man. I'm just calling it. I'm calling all the shots. Everything's going to get out of hand real quick. I feel like I just do. I just got a weird feeling with us being in Jerry's world. I mean, just. My gosh, yeah, I'm such a homer though, man. Like being a home game and how we've been just destroying people at home. It's like if it was in Seattle, because Seattle's rainy tonight. I think like pretty heftily rainy. So I was like, all right, if it was in Seattle, it would have been a different game. I think you guys could have relied on your run game, rely on those tight ends, those short passes, things like that. But not in Jerry's world. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Seahawks do play a little bit different in prime time. So maybe that's the difference maker here. Maybe the Seahawks realize that they're on the national stage and need to act like they belong in the league. But yeah, I do think there's a big chance that this is a blowout, like you were saying, James. But man, I hope it's not.
All right, I got something for you guys before I give my prediction and final thought here. Over under 1.5 punts off the scoreboard.
Oh.
So, do you have the over or the under?
Oh, I'm taking the under. I mean, I think if I could see one happening because Michael Dixon's got a heck of a leg, but I don't think he doesn't generally go that high. So I'm gonna take the under.
I'm gonna take the under as well. Yeah, I think guys have gotten used to it now, and it's like,
I'm going to take the over just for fun. I know that punters go out there and they purposefully try to hit it, at least in warm-ups and things like that. And there's a benefit to it because there's a rule in place that it basically just nullifies the play and they replay. So if there's a momentum issue going on and your punter can ding it off the jumbotron there, then you almost get like that extra play to settle down. Looking at it from a coaching standpoint, I'm going to say over.
Get weird with it.
All right. So I've talked about this being a must win for the Seahawks. I put it in the title of the episode. It's tough, right? I'm going to give a prediction first. My prediction for the game score is Seattle Seahawks 20, Dallas Cowboys 24. I think the defense is going to step up. I think we're going to limit them a little bit from just exploding on offense. But I think this game could come down to the only way the Seahawks are going to have a chance to win this game is if the defense or special teams scores a touchdown. I don't think the Seahawks offense has a chance to hang with the Cowboys offense. So without a defensive or special teams touchdown, I think it's 2024 in favor of the Cowboys. My final thought on this game is that even though I see it as a must win, right, it's a must win for the Seahawks for the next 3 weeks until we actually win one. We lose the next 3 games and then win the winnable games at the end of the season. We have a 14% chance to make the playoffs. But if we can beat the Cowboys or beat the 49ers or beat the Eagles, that jumps up to a 98% chance that the Seahawks make the playoffs. So looking at the schedule, I said, Cowboys is probably going to be the easier of those games. But Cowboys are playing great at home. So how does that look going forward? Are the Seahawks going to be able to come into this one, knock them off at home? Maybe. But like I said, they have to win. It's a must win for the next 3 weeks until they win one. So just a little glimmer of hope for the Seahawks. There is still a chance. James, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome.
If anybody out there is listening and they're in the Northeast Tennessee, the Tri-Cities area, and they want to either sell or buy a house, you know who to reach out for. James Smith, Keller Williams. Just search it. I'm sure it'll come up. Unless you have some information you'd like to put out there.
Come on. No, I mean, yeah. Keller Williams, James Smith, McPherson Smith team. Feel free to give me a call, 901-831-1355. It's at Memphis.
There you go.
So
there you go. See, putting the digits out on the podcast. I love it.
Come on, man. Yeah, anybody who wants to give me a holler, So, no, it's all good. I'm more than happy to help people out. Been helping Robert out, and looking forward to hopping on the show next time. Maybe as a debrief after this game gets out of hand. So
only if we win. You can come back on if we win.
There you go.
You got to give him. He put up with all of our Seahawks talk this time. We got to give him a chance to gloat if the Cowboys come out with the win.
Maybe.
There you go. I love it.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening to Let's Talk Seahawks, the podcast for fans like you. We enjoy spending our time with you and sharing our insights every week. Thank you for watching. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.